I manifested doing cricket. Golf came to me. You know, why isn't a girl in a men's team? Everyone needs to know how to throw, kick, catch. I don't want to go to India. Women's IPL is coming up.
So when we talk about resources, they're not quite equal.
How much of recovery is actually mental?
Till this day, my dad's like, Doctor Ban abhi tak.
Hello and welcome to HerSide, a female-led podcast by athletes and for athletes, where we bring to you stories about women in sports in India, which are unfiltered, uncensored, and unapologetically raw.
Today we have a very special guest, Navnita Gautam, India's first athletic therapist. She works closely with cricketers and golfers all across the globe and also runs a badminton academy in Chandigarh to nurture young talent across India. Welcome, Navnita.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited for this podcast.
Yay. Let's go back a little bit and discuss what drew you to athletic therapy, what it is, and why did you get specifically in the field of sport?
It's a very good question. So, in terms of athletic therapy, I've always wanted to stay connected with some sort of healthcare as well as sports, like my whole life. It doesn't look like it, but actually, मैं थोड़ा सा basketball खेली थी. Height के हिसाब से, I just like put the ball in the hoop, exactly that. But उसके बाद, I've always wanted to stay in sport. And basketball was my first sport that I worked. NCAA in the US and Canada, I've worked a lot extensively on basketball. Ice hockey a little bit as well. And then slowly, what was happening is there was physiotherapy and then there was athletic therapy. So if you go in North America, it's mostly in any university and college teams, they only have athletic therapy.
Correct.
It's just how it works. NCAA, every varsity team only has athletic therapy, and compared to Asia and the European side, it's mostly physio. So on field athletic therapy, and I've always wanted to do that. So I've done 3 degrees, 2 bachelors and a master's, and till this day, my dad's like, Doctor Ban abhi tak. I'm like, yaar, 30 saal ki ho gayi hu, kya karu na? And so I got into that field, and athletic therapy was very like more hands-on, more on-field. And yes, it's a combination of physios also working with you too. And yeah, that's one thing led to a next. And I actually went into coaching after playing my basketball at national level. I went into coaching college team as an assistant coach. That same college in Victoria, British Columbia, offered me athletic therapy seat. So that's how kind of everything rolled in. I was working and I was interning and I was studying. So it was all hand in hand working together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love those long hours of work.
So you've come a long way from like Canada, America, all the way to India.
I think I worked in almost every not every continent, but like, and that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to experience all that and settle where my heart really wanted to.
Awesome.
And India was the best place to settle.
Lovely. Love
Best place.
that.
So you've been doing quite a work in cricket and a
Hanji.
bit in golf as well. So
Hanji.
did the sport choose you along the way, or was it always the goal?
I felt cricket. I manifested doing cricket. Golf came to me. So my dad was a cricket fanatic. So at 3 a.m, he had no other company besides, oh, Nav, ut ja. 3 baje svere India ka match chal raha hai. And I'm like, hey, right. And this time Canada does not have cricket. Like now it just started.
Yeah.
Like it's not a weather friendly sport. So he's like, yeah, chal mere saath dekh. मैं कहा, चल यार, ठीक है. And I would never understand. मैं कहा, हाँ, okay, ठीक है. So slowly, and then I think that at the age of 10 years old, I was like, why isn't a girl in a men's team? Because I thought it was normal. My dad's like, वो थे ना ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है. I'm like, क्यों नहीं होता? Right? So I think that mentally, that goal was in the back, like in my subconscious mind that one day I'll get there. So bas लगातार, and I had the same dream till my high school graduation at 18.
Right.
And my dad's like, okay, if you really want to go to India, do your degrees first.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
at the age of 25, doing 2 degrees, he was like, I was like, what do you want to do? I was like, Dad, I want to go to India. He was like, you're crazy, man. हम उधर छोड़ के आए 40 साल हो गए, and I'm just
Oh,
like, no,
wow.
no, no, I want to go back. And that time I actually got into Portland, Oregon, a doctorate program. So I had to choose one or the other, and I ditched, like I said no to the doctorate program, and I went to India.
Lovely.
No connection, no experience. It was a complete, like, let's see, I was 26 when I came, and then I was like, let's see how this goes. So I took a train from Delhi to Mumbai to Bangalore. Never been to Mumbai, never went to Bangalore. I don't know, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
And then slowly, that's how you make contacts. And then a month and a half there, just roaming around India. Flew back, finally got a job offer, flew back after 2 months, and then the rest is history. I'm still here.
Lovely. We are so happy to have you here, especially in India, because you are really famous across the cricket circuit and even the golf circuit. And which sort of brings me to the point that you touched base a little bit on physiotherapy and athletic therapy. Tell me the difference between the both.
I think both are equally as good. Again, in North America, the physiotherapy is the athletic therapy that's there. In other parts of the world, it's a little bit different. So we kind of get accustomed according to where you're at. Athletic therapy, I feel, is more hands-on, more on-field care, more acute situation, like immediate injuries. Those that have a injury that's more of a serious injury, more chronic, more neuromuscular, that's more advanced, then it comes to more physio related. But both go hand in hand. And I feel like both intertwine amongst each other as well, depending on who you work under. So I think that plays a huge role as well.
Right, right. So why is it that physio is more popular in India and
that's just, yeah, because like I think athletic therapy has grown only because there was less physios in terms of history, and therefore they trained the trainers, and that therefore another profession called AT or athletic trainer got developed. And I could have also challenged the exam and done a physio, but I'm just so proud to call myself an AT. And coming to
Yeah.
India, I was actually a little bit like concerned. I was like, hey, यहाँ पे athletic therapy नहीं है, which I was very interested about because when I travel with my golf tours, they know exactly what I am. And when I got to Asia, I was like, oh, this is actually a little bit different for me because it's the exact same work. But then again, I have to respect because those that are going from India to Canada, India to US are also facing the same situation. So I'm like, okay, now I need to be respectful for the situation, and if it needs me to, like at the end of the day, it's a lovely approach just to get all the sports medicine team together and put their heads together. You learn from someone or do something. Like I learn from physios every day.
Right.
And I don't mind admitting and being like, you know what, I'm one of the young ones out there. I was like, might as well be like, what is your opinion? And go from there. And being assistant or, on the side is equally as valuable.
So you travel a lot with the teams for their matches and their
Hanji.
tours as well. So do you mind like telling us what teams do you work with and also what tours do you travel for?
Gotcha. So right now, women's IPL is coming up. Please watch, guys. Women's IPL is coming up. So I'm in women's IPL, and then I'm in men's IPL, and then I work on and off with Cricket Netherlands. I was with them with the World Cup, but there's the cricket in terms of there's a lot of time periods where it clashes and stuff. So Cricket Netherlands, whenever there's availability. And I travel a lot with golf, especially in the last 2 years. So we're looking at Asian Tour, which is the tour in Asia, and then European Tour, which is in Europe, and then the men's and women's, and then Live Golf, which is mostly in Dubai. So I get intertwined just depending on where I'm put.
Right.
But that's after cricket. So that's after July onwards.
Right. Awesome. So let's dive into cricket for a little bit because it's kind of picked up lately given the World Cup win that we have. So what does your day look like if you're on field or if there's a match going on with a women's team?
So for example, we usually start the day around 10, 11 o'clock. So we have a nice morning off, which is great because I'm a huge early bird. I love my morning routine done. And that's the only safe time that you have your own time. You have your workout time, you have your reading time and whatnot. We do have other times, but it's just very random in terms of game day practice time. And 11, 12 o'clock, you get players coming in after breakfast for a little bit of treatment, reassessment, or something that they feel like, it just feels really tight when I slept last night and woke up in the morning. फिर उसके बाद, then we usually have a practice. which can last 2 to 4 hours depending on which venue it is. After practice, again, a little bit of treatment. And if there's a game the next day, then there's a lot of game day prep to be done, in terms of how we can help you on in the warm up for the following day. Or if it was a long practice, how can we assist you in terms of recovery, ice baths, whirlpool, like in terms of what amenities are available in the hotel as well as within our staff as well.
Right.
So it's long days, but I'm obsessed with it, so it's good.
Awesome.
So you work with the men's side as well. So
Yes.
like, is it like any different? So like how your days look like, or like how the work really plays?
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. Men's team is more intense. It's like for the women's team right now, Do Hafte is in Mumbai, Do Hafte is coming up in Vadodara, and men's team is we travel every third, fourth day. So
Wow.
Oh,
I
God.
remember there's sometimes that I don't even open my own suitcase. I'm like, we're yahi pana hai, we wear this the whole day.
Yeah.
So men's team is intense. Obviously, there's more demands, there's more, like things to watch out for. Because if one player does have a niggle, you're not only changing one player, you're changing a lot of players around just to match who would be fit for the game and who our opponents are. So it's so important to make sure everyone is good to go. So a lot of checking in, a lot of, there's a lot of recovery involved as well. And definitely, I think the travel and the sleep does get hindered a lot. But that I think I learned across the way, just to whenever you find time nap, sleep. So that's which I'm finding out. So it is definitely different,
Yeah.
just in terms of the travel also. But
Right.
we find ways though.
Right. So you've worked with a lot of big players, I would kind of want to know who's your favorite player, you've
Ooh.
worked with or not worked with. Who's your
ਹਾਂਜੀ.
favorite player on the cricket circuit?
Ah,
Women
ooh.
or men's, both.
So overall, every player is like, I find all the players that I've worked with and even who I look upon from other teams, I just learn so much from them, and especially in the team huddle. But overall, I'm I'm a huge fan of Josh Hazelwood, who's an Australian fast bowler. He's so consistent with his with his warm up as well as his recovery routine.
Right.
Very disciplined, very very nice man. I definitely like even not just me, my husband and I really look up to him, as one of our idols, and he's just all around really really good.
Lovely. Love that.
So let's shift the focus a bit to the
Absolutely.
golf right now. So like you just were talking about like how your work schedule looks like while you work with the cricket team. So how is it like in golf for you?
So golf, it's very early morning starts. So we're looking at depending on how far is our hotel to the golf course, it's a 4:30 a.m. days. So that's a little ulta than cricket. Cricket we sleep late and then we wake up late, and then
Yeah.
golf we wake up early and sleep
Yeah.
early. So golf is 4:30 a.m. days. Usually we have to be there hour or hour and a half before the first tee time, practice time. We got to be there by 5:36, and then we work straight till 6 7 p.m. So it's long days.
Yeah.
But golf is like, you start and end. Where cricket, there is a lot of fluctuation depending on situations.
Yeah.
But it's both ways. It's really good. It's just for golf, there's more of a structured time set.
Right. Right. Okay. So let's talk about the athletic therapy side of things. Women bodies work differently as compared to the men's, and the workloads and recovery therapies can be different. Tell us some things that people don't realize, or is this a myth or a fact?
Definitely, it just the more that you put into your body, whether despite gender, more that you put into your body in terms of strength, in terms of putting more effort in terms of your recovery, it kind of equates pretty similar between both genders. So not much, but in terms of injury, yes, if it was a ligamentous injury, especially with the menstrual cycle involved, there is some time allocated more towards women getting better in terms of their recovery period. Especially the joints that don't have much muscles, like the wrist and the ankles, will take quite some time. So I feel like I do have to spend quite amount of time in terms of strengthening those parts, and that to a consistent amount of time. And even, for examples, if we are in the initial stages, if we are doing isometric holds, like holding it, sometimes like for a female, it takes like 5 seconds to hold a muscle, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, the muscle's cramping or activating. While male is like, chal 10 seconds, 15 seconds ke baad, then they actually feel it. That recruitment of fibers for a longer period of time, which initially we need because we want to make sure that the limb gets stronger over a long period of time, and that too can be endurance strong. Like
Right.
it can go through a longer period of time where it doesn't get injured again, or it does feel the pain and stuff. I think that recruitment of muscle takes a little bit of time,
Yeah.
but the more you do, the more it just gets better. And I think the body itself is very great that muscle memory picks up. So that's my only thing. And I think because of the menstrual factor as well, that is something that we have to respect. And ligaments do get more lax, and which we have to work extra hard just to make sure the muscles kind of kick in more.
So how does one like work their way around this if
So
the
that's very
hormonal part of the
yeah.
things is what can cause more injury? And there has been like a fact going around the internet that women athletes get more ACL tears.
Yeah.
So how do female athletes like Dalma and I work around this?
So it's so important to track down when that week of the month is, and that too, looking at your workload overall in the month, and maybe that week we might just lower down the workload just to prevent any sort of injuries. And it's kind of like you can do a daily questionnaire that we do with the teams as well. It's more of, instead of having, which I usually do, like a whole calendar plan or a whole week plan per athlete, it might just be like for that week, it might just be like your symptoms for the morning, and then we work around your schedule accordingly for that. Because I usually, not just in cricket, but even in my clinic back in Chandigarh, I'll make them a whole 3-week plan, and uske baad, that 1 week will just be like, yeah, nah, I'm not feeling well. I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's skew it. Let's turn it into a way that you can do X amount of things, but instead of doing 3 sets, do two sets, and we'll adjust accordingly to what it really needs. And or maybe if there's so much going on in terms of strength and recovery, and then cricket in general or golf, then we might just lower one or the other. Like
Right.
instead of having 3 hours of cricket, chalo, just do a little bit of knocking. So in terms, there, you are connected to your sport, but we're monitoring the workload with a mutual discussion.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like when I was in Canada, I was there for 3 years and I was playing. It was like a routine. It was like a lifestyle that every player had to get up in the morning. They had to put like how they're feeling,
Yep.
where they are in their menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
And now when I think back, my injuries were a lot lesser to now after you
Yep.
really mentioned
Yep.
that. I can think back to like all the resources that I had back there and how that really transforms into performance, especially for us women.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about resources, they're not quite equal. Like, opportunities are not quite equal when it comes to resources for women athletes over here. So do you think that really prevents injury, that really like hampers injury prevention in a way?
Yes. So depending on, I am a huge fan of looking up what the hotel has before we get there. So if I am traveling with golf, especially women, I find out what's there, what is the tour offering. Ikto is what the hotel has, team sauna, which we cannot change. But is a tour giving something? Is there a connect? Is there a whirlpool? Is there like a ice bath that we can do? And I look into it and promote it since day one. I'm like, get in there, get it sorted. Because I think starting from even day one, just you'll only notice a difference after a couple of days. Doing it one time and just giving it a shot, be like, yeah, it's nav, this is not for me. I'm like, give it a chance. Do tin bari karo, ek bari, right? And get that adaptation to happen as well. If not, then I love finding out other ways that foam roller be here, stretching be here. Or if not, then me, I'm an easygoing person that if I'm the only like person that can help with recovery, I'll just start massaging. I was like, at least something is better than nothing, especially if the turnaround period between matches is so small.
Right.
So, for example, I was with the Whitecaps also. So I was saying, now that you say you were in Canada, so I worked with Alfonso Davies when he was there as well. So back in the Whitecaps farm team with the women's team, we made sure that whenever we went, we had a portable ice bath ready. Despite anything, the hotel had everything, but we're like, you know what? Why not spend X amount? And it was very cost effective, just to make sure that we gave that opportunity for players as well, if they wanted as well. Or making sure that there's bathtubs in hotels, do an ice bath there. So there's a lot to think about. It's not just like, what is your injury, vagada. It's like, how do we prevent it in the whole measure? Let's do a walk around the field just to make sure there's no potholes. Like little simple stuff like that. I think puts everything into perspective together, that the player, they know that they're safe from every end as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lovely. So, um, as a
Mm-hmm.
AT, you see athletes at their most vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
spot, injured, frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
scared. How do you hold that space for them?
That's a very good question. So that this is something that I'm getting better at. I was not good at it. So I felt like I have actually learned this in men's cricket, where one year we didn't have a psychologist, and I'm like, psychologist nahi hai, right? I'm like, hey, like they play a huge role. I was like, they're like, and then our head of operations actually said, I'm like, technically we are all psychologists, and that hit me really hard because I was like, I'm not doing anything for it, even though I'm not a psychologist, but that's where I started reading, self-help books and like things that what can I do to not guide them in the wrong direction, but be a listener and know when to refer, right?
Mhm.
Like if a player is on my table for about 45 minutes to an hour, there's going to be a discussion and there's going to be things coming out as well that I need to be sure that, okay, how do I put this into perspective that I take out, if it is a negative conversation, how do I present a positive statement? And at the same time being respectful that what the coaches want, what the whole team wants as well. So it plays a huge role, and I feel like 90% of the battle is in your head. So even when you get someone, for example, I'm working with a lot of athletes, a lot of badminton athletes back home with ACL and meniscus tears, for them to just jump, because there's a type of kick in badminton called scissor kick, which my husband taught me exists. I'm like, okay, great. So he's like, a Kenchi kick, the which you have to land on the left side. And that's where a lot of badminton guys get injured, on the left leg. And I'm like, with the dominant being the right hand. So they're able to jump, but they're so scared and they're
Yeah.
fully fit. And even at 8th month, I'm like purposely throwing them off the cliff. I'm like, you're fine, you're fine. And doing as much single leg hops, jumping high to low, low to high. It's that 10%, it's that 90% battle you have to fight. But that requires, the more you do, the more you get better at. But it's that constant, consistent checking in and that positive reinforcement that will get you further.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which you covered a little bit of the question that I wanted to ask
Mm-hmm.
next was how much of recovery is actually mental, because a lot of the times it's all in our head,
Yeah.
and Alma here is also a sports psychologist.
So cool.
So, we've touched base on this quite a
Mm.
bit, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, how much
Mhm.
of recovery do you think is mental? Like, if you were to put like a percentage on it,
I think it's 90%. I think
really?
Mhm.
if the mind is set so well, 10% the body will just follow. But you have to get your mind straight. Like going back to why you started the sport in the first place, because you love it so much. I think looking at the little things is so important. And
Yeah.
it does get rhetorical and boring in terms of warm up, rehab, and whatnot. But that's where you need that, I call it excessive amounts of energy, like from an outsider or even a staff member like me, just to be like, hey, you're doing well. Just a positive check in and reinforcement
Mhm.
to get you further. And second thing that I started doing a lot is connecting every rehab to the sport. So, for example, if I tell a bowler don't bowl for 2 weeks, they'll look at me and guess what? They'll take a tennis ball or start bowling on the walls, or they'll look at the mirror and start doing the movements and stuff. They won't listen to you, but it which is understandable because they love the sport so much. So
Mhm.
might as well connect their rehab to the sport. So in terms of making it more, it'll be a little bit different, but they'll be connected to the sport that they won't feel left out.
Right.
Mhm.
Awesome.
And I think when you say that, it just takes me back to my own
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
I had an ACL tear in
Mm-hmm.
Canada when I was
Mm-hmm.
playing,
Mm-hmm.
and given like how the sport, like
Mm-hmm.
sport of soccer
Yeah.
over there, it's just like so tough and so
Yeah.
physical. And once I started out my rehab, it
Mm.
was nothing but just like a complete mental battle.
Yeah.
And also the athletic therapist that I was working
Mm-hmm.
with, he was like, he made me sit down and he
Yeah.
made me understand every aspect of it. And he was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to work with you through this self-determination theory,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, I want to give you some sort of autonomy,
Mm-hmm.
that you're responsible for your own rehab. You can
Yeah.
take the decisions that you
Mm-hmm.
want to play. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, if you tell a bowler to like not bowl, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And in my head, I just wanted to be able to kick a ball because
Yeah.
that just got me that sort of
Mm-hmm.
satisfaction. So how he just included that like 2 weeks post-op, and like
Yeah.
how he just got me involved with the ball, it was just like a sense of fulfillment that,
Yeah.
okay, like I am not really like starting from scratch, like
Yeah.
I've not lost it,
Yeah.
but I'm just
Yeah.
learning it all again. It's just like basically
That
a
is very good.
revision. Yeah,
Very, very good.
so yeah, no, like yeah, it really took me back to like that experience of mine, and like
Mm-hmm.
how important. It's just so nice to hear somebody talk about the importance of like
Yeah.
the mental side.
Yeah.
because like it's time we start
Yeah.
emphasizing it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like just going back to like injuries, like now that
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about it and women in
Mm-hmm.
sports, so like what injury do you think is like really very common when we talk about women athletes, but is
Mm-hmm.
often not spoken about?
There is a lot of like, especially bowlers, landing foot. So there's a posterior impingement. So when a bowler just lands on the one foot, especially if they're right hand bowler, like 12 times the body weight goes on the ankle. That's one. There is an injury called posterior impingement, which is an injury on the backside. So constantly having a toe down position. And it's that friction, ideally rubbing from the Achilles down to the insertion spot. And that is very, very common, but sometimes we forget about it. And starting preventative stuff like in terms of range of motion in dorsiflexion, like the other way, just to make sure as much as we do like 4 hours of this, having your toe pointed like a ballerina, it will get impinged. So starting off early and incorporating that in warm up is very important. Um, for golf, I would say a lot of wrist injuries. You're going at 80 to 100 miles per hour to hit that one ball that's stationary. It needs precision and accuracy. So there's a lot of toll on how the wrist gets cocked and moved around just to kind of maneuver and get to that spot. And golf itself is a very biomechanically heavy sport as well. Like cricket, at least, the ball is moving, so your momentum is shifting according to like, chalo ye, drive ho gaya. Now I can hit a six. So you can variate your shot, variate your inertia, your momentum. Golf is like one ball, one chance, one pataka. Just have to hit that, right? So there's a lot of precision into it and a lot of
Right.
speed coming into it. So golf, I feel like, gets very underestimated as well. It's a very powerful sport.
Very talked
Very
about.
powerful sport. Oof.
Yeah. We have some golfers on this season as well.
Pradima, yes.
Yes.
Such a lovely young lady she is. Yeah. Yes.
So you work in a space that is largely male dominant, right? So what are some of the differences that you felt? Have you ever felt any resistance, doubts, or frustrations that, because of your gender, that, you get to face certain differences?
It's a very good question. So back home, though, it was very normal for me to work with men's team. I've worked with men's team my whole life. And when I came to India, I started working with a lot of sports here. I remember my first time in cricket, like no one came to me. I was like, huh? I was like, I'm like, that's really interesting because I thought it was very different. Because I was like, and I was very like bubbly and just the normal me.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit like off guard. And I'm like, मैंने कुछ किया भी नहीं है ना different. I was like, okay, ठीक है. But it did take a lot of people just to gain confidence to actually meet me, which I found very surprising for me because I didn't see that coming. So, but like I said, I have to respect the culture and understand. And once it came, it came. I think the trust that I've built over the years with men and is very important. And secondly, I respect their space a lot. Like in terms of dressing room and change room, I'll be very, very mindful of be like, okay, now I've put the table here. So I'm watching the field as well as respecting that the change room is that end. So I think guys really, really like that as well. That, Nav is there and she's very, very, she's very, very respectful with her thing. And I give them space when you know that you need to give them space. Firstly, I did not know that. I didn't like getting to know cricket. And when someone gets out, I'm like, okay, now what do I do now, right? Like other than that, but now when someone does get out, for example, we just have to respect their timing and go at the right time and making sure they're hydrated and working around them. Do you need anything?
Right.
Because they have to go back in field after the second innings. So just be mindful about that. I think just trial and error, experience, and getting to know the sport is very important. And you get to know everyone individually as well.
Yeah.
And that took me time as well because there was a cultural difference as well for me because I didn't see it coming until I got to that situation, and it took me some time just to adjust.
Yeah. For sure.
So because we touched based on the mental aspect, let's touch a little base on your mental aspect. Like early on when you were kind of facing that kind of cultural shift that not many players were showing up to
Yeah.
you, like coming to you with their
100.
injuries and everything. So how did you navigate those moments without losing confidence?
That's a very good question. I think I spoke to my dad that night. I remember back home. I'm like, Daddy, yaar, koi nahi aa raha hai. And he was like, Puttar, sun. You know how people adjust when how I've adjusted as an immigrant coming to Canada? I'm like, yes, Daddy. He's like, you have to do the same. So he's like, it's you against a billion people. Guess what? You won't win. I'm like, okay. So he's like, try adjusting. I know it will take time. I know it's very different for you because sometimes, not in cricket, but like even my past experience of working in Bangalore, where sometimes being too bubbly is also like considered a wrong thing, which I didn't know because I am what I am. I was like,
Yeah.
but then it took me time to like refine myself and understand the situation as it came. But it took a lot of time. So uh, there's a lot of people from back home that were like, oh my god, Nav, I want to do what you're doing. I'm like, great. I tell them one thing. I was like, just mentally prepare yourself. I know it sounds a little odd, and it's hard for me to explain as well, but it just be mentally prepared and be acceptable, be receptive to situation,
Mm.
and don't react to situations, because this is you adjusting to different cultures here, which is equally as valuable. And also looking at sport in general, people come from all different backgrounds, especially looking at cricket. People come from rural villages that where they haven't studied so much, and people come from top-notch places where they have a degree. So you're working with a lot of different mindsets here, which we just have to be mindful and respect that if there is comments and stuff like that, you kind of have to take it like a grain of salt and be like, okay, you know what, be respectful and then just work accordingly. It's because it's not their fault at the end.
Yeah.
They're learning, they're growing, and so is me.
Yeah.
Mm.
So do you think as a female AT, do you connect with female athletes more?
Yes, because as in it's like we have that natural cheer and like like get going attitude and be like, good job, well done. Sometimes like actually the guys are getting used to me now, but sometimes it's men's team like, go get it, and they're just like, oh no, I know, मुझे पता है. And I'm just like,
It's
okay,
more
sorry,
serious
I'm like,
with the
sorry,
boys.
next innings, ball catch karo. And even when I'm walking around the boundary, I'm like, good job, and they know it already, and I'm just like, okay, now awkward moment.
I feel women's cricket community is also very small, so everyone sort of
Yeah,
knows each other, and
yeah, very supportive, pat on the back, well done,
Yeah.
right? So I agree.
like I was looking at the website the other day, the IPL website. The
Hanji.
women's side has 5 teams, and the men's side has like I don't know, I didn't count. I
Yeah, so it's
lost.
a lot of teams now, which the women's team is picking up, man. Hopefully by
Yeah.
next year, 2 more teams.
Hopefully. So, but yeah, how has your experience been with these female athletes?
Mhm.
Has it shaped your perspective of womanhood, strengths, care,
Mhm.
and nurturing? What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Like I think cricket has really grown in terms of like women as well, the women's sport. And just I think now because women's IPL is now in their fourth year, I think there's more pressure for the girls, but it's sometimes like as a staff member, as a friend, I just come up to you and be like, relax, there's so much stake on the line. This means the world to me. I'm like, this is great. It's good that you're thinking about this, but there's more valuable stuff in life, right? And so I think there is a good curve, more opportunities for female, but there needs to be a very, very less amount of stress factor and just enjoy the sport as is.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's so good to see like female sport. The gyms are full now because of cricket. Like as in, it's just sport is not just cricket. Sorry, any sport you can see everyone working out now, and not just like the talented cricket factor, which I've seen in my first year in women's IPL, is just about talented players. And now these guys are going in terms of proper recovery, gym routine, and whatnot, like such a holistic approach to everything. And it's good to see that. Very, very good to see that.
So, as a woman
Mhm.
building your career in sports and
Mhm.
medicine, what do you think would have been different building your career if you weren't a woman?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Very question सोच के लगे आए हो तो very सोचेंगे मैं क्या, oh, that's a very good question. I think to prove a point, like as in to prove your identity and your work takes longer as a woman.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you guys can relate to that as well. Like as in I remember going for a lot of interviews in Asia for golf and cricket and just any sport in general. You know, it's that it's not a reaction that's coming physically from like the interviewers, but like casually, just saying along the lines, be like, yaar ye takdi hai, like like as in handling other teams, and I'm just like, hey, very so, but it doesn't come from their end, but you can notice little gestures and stuff that they're like, yeah, it would be better if she's, if there was a male physio, male athletic therapist and stuff. But once you crack at it and you build your reputation so much, I think there's no turning back. But you really have to kind of prove that point, which I feel as a woman, it's constantly there all the time. Not just even like, I don't know how many years. I'm in India for quite some time now. Not just in India. And when travel in Europe, it's that reinforcement towards others and your continued commitment to serve players again and again will show that that it's a legit genuine recovery and rehab that this player is doing. But it's that consistent effort though.
Yeah, for sure. It's quite difficult, especially like, so I was in Australia and I used to have, male physios, male athletic therapists all the time. But when I came here, it just isn't really like a concept, it's sort of societal, I would say. And I mean, naturally, so one should respect that. But I feel with the kind of work that you have done, you have really like built a solid reputation within the community, and you're doing a great job there.
Guys are also awesome.
But so I had this one little question. It's off the topic entirely. So the IPL is called IPL, and it's the men's IPL, but the women's side is called the WPL. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it should be termed women's IPL or?
I think even if I agree with you, there's no harm in putting an I after the W and the P, right? And then like, but it might just sound VPL or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think regardless if it says WPL, I kind of always hesitate saying that. I always say women's IPL at the end, just because for me there's no difference. I agree with you, but I agree with you. There needs to be some sort of changes with that.
And the women's team is doing brilliant.
Very good. Very good.
Everyone is somewhat of an all-rounder, if I had to like put it.
Agreed.
Deepti Sharma being one of my favorites.
Yes.
So she's amazing.
Very good.
So going to the badminton side of your journey now. So you work as an AT in cricket and golf, and you own a badminton academy. You run a badminton academy in Chandigarh. So tell us a little about the academy that you started and how it came together and what's the goal.
So the badminton academy came because of my lovely husband. He was India #2 badminton player. He lived mostly in Hyderabad because he was under Gopichand. And then after he finished playing, then he really, really wanted to make a badminton academy in North India. South India was successful in all the academies there, but he really wanted to make one in Chandigarh. So all his coaching that he's learned in China and Indonesia, he wanted to bring back. So we've opened one, and it's called AM Badminton Academy because AM is my husband's name, which is Akshat Mahajan. And then I pretty much tagged along with them. I'm like, okay, gee. And we have a lot of kids from all different ages, from juniors and seniors. And working with kids was a little challenging for me because I've never worked in that age group. But I'm slowly but surely liking it.
Right.
Yes.
That's lovely. So what's the goal with it though?
I'm sorry?
What's the goal with the academy?
Goal with the academy is to get these players to play, represent India, and and get our kids to obviously get into the Olympics as well, and just keep getting racket sports as equal as cricket one day.
So if you could change one thing about how athletes approach injury, what would that be?
That's a very good question. I feel for mixing because I've only worked with elite athletes when it comes to cricket and golf, not really the young population. Badminton was an eye-opener for me because a lot of young kids, they don't know the importance of prevention. And in our academy, we've started like musculoskeletal screening. So they're not injured, but we look at the whole range of motions of every joint. We check the strength of every muscle. And then at a young age, right when they start, we start right away and be like, this is your warm-up plan. You keep doing it. But they do get delay along the way. They're like, yeah, pain, injury in it. But we've put it in effort that like consistently do it and you'll start noticing a difference. And then we give examples like if you were at the highest level in India performing and you don't have anyone around you, it's all the practice and warm-ups and the cool down that you have done X amount of years back that'll build you to a stage right here. So that reinforcement at a young age, I feel is very important.
Yeah. So one question though.
Yes.
So you know how China has a completely different,
Yes.
system of
Yes.
screening
Yes.
kids and giving them a sport, and that's
Yes.
what they have to do for
Yep.
the rest of their
Yep.
careers.
Yep.
I've seen it in weightlifting, which is my sport.
Yes.
They require certain proportions, certain
Mm-hmm.
explosive strengths that are required to make
Mm-hmm.
the minimum for weightlifting. Do you think a similar concept can be applied to India?
Mm-hmm.
If it is applied, is it a good thing, or what are your thoughts on that concept?
So interesting. So even my husband lived in China when he was playing at a very young age, and I think he went to the age of 13, and he told me the same thing. He went to a I don't know which badminton academy, and there what he saw, he's like, I've never seen in my life. Now he went at 13, and he was losing to 8-year-olds. So he was like, yeah, right. But at the same time, which is very important, you can choose a sport, or your coach or your parent can choose a sport for you at that age. But I feel regardless, until age of 13, everyone needs to know how to throw, kick, catch. All the fundamental movement need to be in place. If you do want to if you do want to prioritize the sport at the age of 13 and be like, yeah, mujhe yahi karna hai. China does start a little earlier. They start maybe at 7 or 8 or even 9 and be like, mera bacha yahi khelega, which is great. But not just knowing how to smash or jump on one leg with badminton related stuff, but do the other movements very well, like kicking, throwing, and all that kind of stuff, just to make sure in case one sport, racket sport, doesn't work out, you have X amount of sports after. I think that's a fine line that doesn't get turned over in China, which we have the edge of, and vice versa. So fundamental movements need to be ticked off. Play whatever sport you wish.
Right. Okay. Good
That's what I
answer.
feel. Yes.
So, according to you, what do you think are like the simple
Mm-hmm.
habits that athletes can start inculcating in their routine?
Simple habits. Sorry, interim. Sorry.
In terms of protecting their bodies
Aha,
long
okay.
term?
Sorry. As in, one is the preventative, a catered preventative program.
Hmm.
So after looking at your muscle testing and your range of motion of the joints and stuff, ye aapki weaknesses hai. So you're gonna fixate on that. In the beginning, Akshat and I, we were giving a very generic plan to everyone, and then we realized it didn't one size approach, one program approach doesn't fit all. So we had to make it more customized, which took a little bit of time to us to develop because there's so many kids at the academy. We're like, tera ye hai, tera wo hai, and we made it also really fun just to make sure the kids actually do it. And a little bit goes a long ways. These kids won't do 3 sets. We're like, yaar, ek set kar lo, acha wala ek set kar lo. And we reinforce the coaches also
Yeah.
that do not take the player in until they've warmed up.
Yeah.
And that's something that parents hound on us. And we're like, yeah, 10 minutes to waste ho gaye, 15 minutes to waste ho gaye. I'm like, no. This is more important than anything.
Yeah.
And that's one. Second thing is we do Akshat make sure that all the coaches does like a group, the cool down session, and no one leaves until they actually cool down. And that's something that players, kids also go and be like, yeah, mera exam hai, vagara. And we're like, no. Like, stop your badminton 5 minutes early and you start early. So that's something that's ingrained in all the kids, because we just don't want any injury rates to increase, especially in our academy, because that's something that I can control because I'm there the whole time. If not, then the other physios are there. But that's really, really important, I feel.
So, what advice would you like to give women, young girls, who want to be just like you, who want to do exactly what you're doing, getting into AT or physiotherapy? What advice would you give them?
Valid question. Very, very good question. I believe 2 things is, number one, be mentally prepared in terms of just be ready to accept a no. And if someone does not want treatment from you, you need to work around it to be like, how can you improve as a better person? And you need to change according to the situation and the country that you're in, or the team that you're in, and the belief system, cultural issue that in cultural changes that you're in. Adjust accordingly, and I think that will make you a better team player. Secondly, there's one thing that you can control, which is your strength. So workout. Like, I can proudly say that I'm not that physically fit, but I know that 2 times a week, I'm like, yeah, I called my trainer. I'm like, please, kuch kara do, right? At least because I know my job is very physically taxing. And women's team is a little easier because you're able to get into the muscle better, get into the joint more better. Like with the men's team, especially with the lever, the long, the musculature, if you don't give the same effort, they will just go to someone else that's stronger. And I feel like, again, if that comes to that question, that proving a point, we need to be that one step ahead all the time. And the one thing you can control is how much strength that you put into your body. Whether it's a mixture of yoga or weight training, you need to put in the effort.
Right.
As much as you don't want to, and as much as I don't want to. In the beginning, I was very lacking in that. So now I've really made that into a priority as well in my life.
That's awesome.
So just adding on to that, what
Mhm.
is the one thing you wish someone would have told you when you were starting out?
One thing that someone would have told me, I guess, just being more mentally prepared. Just being a little bit more mentally prepared, understanding the situation that I'm going into, and just being proactive about that, and be like, okay, now instead of getting kind of hurt along the ways, and be like, okay, how do I adjust? And finding ways to adjust, but making mistakes and then adjusting. I'd rather just find out early and be like, acha, yehi plan hai, gotcha. And just be in a better mindset, instead of kind of you end up questioning yourself more and be like, yeah, maine kya galat kita, and going around the bush with everything, and just being a little proactive with that. But again, both ways are good. It just came to me a little late. That's about it.
Right. Awesome. So we were lucky enough to catch you here today for the podcast, but tell us what's happening for you next.
What's happening? I'm leaving in 3 days for women's IPL. Yes, no, 2 days. Sorry, for women's IPL, and then I have a bit of a break in Feb for 2-ish weeks, and then going into men's IPL, and then a month-ish break, 2 months, which I'll probably go to Canada, and then go straight to golf after that.
Lovely.
Oh, wow.
So
That's a
Yeah.
lot.
it's gonna be fun.
Well, awesome. We can then move on to the rapid fire.
Rapid
question.
fire, yes.
Oh, that I didn't read. But sorry, but I'm excited for it.
That
Spontaneous.
is the whole point of rapid fire.
Spontaneous.
You want to start?
Yeah, okay. Okay. One injury myth you hate, absolute hate hearing.
One injury myth that I hate hearing. Sorry, just give me a second on this one. Yeah, okay. So in terms of a lot of not as athletes, just general even clientele, they would think yoga is very good, by the way. All the yogis out there, I love what you guys do. But I feel like yoga, in terms of, it is a good combination of strength and mobility, but at the same time, it's more mobility and flexibility. I feel like that strength needs to come from an actual workout in terms of that. So in terms of injury, I think everyone kind of goes towards, okay, it's because something was tight, and let's make it more flexible. Let's get the range of motion back. But you need some stability to make sure, acha, like your arm can go till 90, but we don't want to go to 110, unless if you're a baseball player, or unless if you're cricket, like cricket field, on field, doing the boundary lines. So that's my only thing in terms of injury. Shoulder injuries, like especially, they'd be like, acha, kuch na kuch tight hai, so let's keep working on the flexibility portion of that. You need a good mix of both.
Okay.
You need to marry two concepts together: mobility and stability, to put your shoulder back in.
Okay.
Better.
I have one more question. Yoga or Pilates?
Ooh, yeah. So overall, with the injuries I've recently been seeing, Pilates, I think they work on the deeper core muscles and the transverse abdomen so well that it puts everything into perspective, that everything else gets better.
Okay.
Your whole other everything, all the muscles that were overworking is now underworking and doing the right percentage of job what it's supposed to do. Pehle to, without Pilates and without co-activation, the wrong muscles were overworking so much, and that's where things get injured.
Right.
So I feel with yoga is very good, but I feel like with yoga, you're doing 2 steps forward and 1 step back. The same flexibility you're doing on the right, same thing on the left. Pilates mein kya hai? Jo bhi weak hai, you're brewing that to make it stronger. So, and that to in a deeper core level, which will get everything from lower body to upper body all segmentally correct.
Awesome.
So, ice or heat?
Ooh, okay. So in the initial 72 hours, ice, and then after that, contrast, cold and hot. So
Okay.
best of both worlds.
Okay, I have an interesting one. Maybe slightly controversial. IPL or WPL?
That is hard. That is hard because it's being with the women's team. I always feel very, very proud and very, very like I love being with the women's team. But the adrenaline rush I get with the men's team is it's just a completely different learning curve I get.
Yeah.
I've never seen it in my life. I was so confident that Canadian football, Canadian soccer, and like ice hockey were the best sports in the world. When I came to India, I'm like, never mind. Never mind. Cricket. After seeing cricket with 100,000 people, I'm like, oh my god, this is a completely different ball game.
Yeah.
So that adrenaline rush, you don't find anything, and that team huddle that you have before every match is probably every single time one player or the coach says anything, I always learn something new.
So, according to you, one thing that every athlete should have in their training kit?
Oh, a small little medical bag.
And what should the medical bag have?
So I tell all my golfers that whenever they're traveling out of India or wherever they are in the world, I was like, you need to have one paracetamol, one painkiller as an SOS, one muscle relaxant, one anti-inflammatory, and K-tape, rigid tape. Always. Like, you must have it with you. Worst case scenario, and then like a little bit of a hot patch, like a Tiger Balm patch or whatnot. You save yourself from injury, and that too you start on day one. So might as well, like for example, they land on Sunday. Usually with golf, you only get to see a physio on Tuesday. So instead of waiting 1.5, 2 days of being in pain, might as well see what you can do around it. So I think you should have your own kit and foam roller, ball, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Best recovery tool: sleep or stretching?
Sleep. So nothing beats sleep. I think that, especially in Test cricket, I was speaking to a lot of cricketers about this. Regardless of what you do, because it's a long day of playing for in terms of Test cricket, and if you get good enough sleep, your body will be recharged. So that's a good example I've got. But just overall, hearing from players, sleep psychologically and physically will set you good for the next day.
Is there anything better than sleep?
Sleep is the best. Sleep is the best. And in terms of modality of choice, if I had that every single time, whirlpool, contrast, best. Or even if a whirlpool is not there, we'll find a jugaad that's some sort of as in swimming pool, but sauna, some sort of contrast can be there depending on where you're at.
Awesome.
And then,
Those are some really nice takeaways for me as well. I will keep those in mind for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
That was lovely.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Nav.
Perfect. No, it was lovely. I really wanted to do this. I was like, I'm happy I came here. I'm happy Akshit
so
embassy
glad.
appointment was here.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad it
We're
worked out.
happy we could get you here with your busy schedule and everything.
I'm very. Pehle Akshit was like, yeah, my appointment Chandigarh hai. Atlantic Mall hota hai na. So I was like, yeah, theek hai. And then he's like, Delhi. I'm like, weird. Let me message. My husband's like me. We both are like tangent. Like, kya ho raha hai life mein? We're like, huh? And then suddenly when I found out, then I messaged him like, yeah, mata, main aa rahi hu.
Thank you so much. It meant a lot, honestly.
I love the train journey, man. Even though it was late, it was good.
Awesome.
We hope you loved this conversation as much as we loved having this conversation and you got to learn something. And if you think that somebody would really benefit or would love to watch this, please share it with them. And also make sure to like and subscribe.
Yay.